Welcome back to Southpaw Picks, and you're here with your host Charles, and this is UFC Fight Night, Błachowicz versus Rakić. And we got an 11 fight card ahead of us. Later time here on the East Coast, starting at 7:30. So, not can't say I'm a huge fan of the late start. I really do like the MMA in the afternoon. But before we get into this breakdown, we're gonna have a quick recap of UFC 274. We go 7-7 in our predictions. Obviously not the best week prediction wise, but we do profit 6.40 units. So phenomenal weekend as far as betting goes. We were able to hit that straight shot on Randy Brown. We were able to get Charles Oliveira by finish. A couple totals in there. And then obviously my favorite dog shot was CJ Vergara. And I took that shot, like I said, based on principle. And based on being on the opposite side, betting against CJ Vergara, I know how tough that dude was. So it was worth the gamble, and it paid off. So once again, this is like, 4 or 5 events in a row now. And we're just going to keep trucking along and keep bringing to you guys this great content. Now, unfortunately, we didn't hit 0 parlays last week. Everything I hit was all straight shots. But like we like to do on this show, we don't put too much on these parlays. We put most of it on the straight shots. These parlays are obviously high risk, so you gotta take that into consideration. But enough of that. Let's get into this fight night card. We are gonna start top down as we usually do with the main event: Jan Błachowicz versus Aleksandar Rakić. Now, obviously, Jan Błachowicz is coming off losing his title against Glover Teixeira. He's been dealing with some neck issues. Phenomenal record, 29-9. Underrated in the sense that, a lot of people don't take into consideration, Ronaldo Souza, former middleweight. Corey Anderson, that was a good knockout. That was a very special knockout for him there. Dominic Reyes, where was his head at in that spot? Got him out of there. And then Israel middleweight. Jan Błachowicz is going up against a big super athlete in Rakić with good leg kicks, decent top pressure. Boxing, I would lean in the side of Błachowicz. I'll be honest. I think Błachowicz has got better. I'll just call him Jan anyways. Jan has better punches down the middle and to me more power and just better reaction time when it comes to being in the pocket. But what I do like about Aleksandar Rakić is he's risk adverse. He does give you these boring performances. Even though he is capable of highlight reel finishes, he's very cerebral in there. And I would hope with this 14-month layoff that he's improved a bit in his striking, because I would give that nod strictly to Jan. I do like Jan's leg kick defense, and Rakić throws a lot of heavy kicks. So, I mean, if Jan checks a couple of those, that can deter him from taking the shot. Jan has come through as an underdog. I did take Glover against him. I just felt like that was a good matchup for him. And I do think this line is very reasonable. I don't think we're overblown here on Rakić as far as the -200, -180 we're seeing. And I'm going to take the shot on the younger guy, man. I'm, coming off a title loss, 39 years old. Jan probably slowing down a little bit. I don't think he's faced an athlete of this caliber since Dominic Reyes. And I put Rakić a bit higher than Dominic Reyes. I don't think Rakić gets the finish. I think he probably wins the unanimous decision. Maybe 4 rounds to 1, 3 rounds to 2, along those lines. Maybe some scary moments. Maybe Jan can close the distance. I just think the speed, the athleticism, and the hunger is just going to be a little too much for the Polish legend. And I do think we see him drop his second fight in a row. Give me Aleksandar Rakić by unanimous decision. And I see them today. They went really nose to nose and sized up today, man. I got some Bellator going on in the background. Looks like Luke Trainer just, I don't know if this fight's over, but it looks like Luke Trainer is getting beat up right now. Moving on down. Enough about Bellator anyways. Moving on down, we got a co-main event here. Another light heavyweight bout between Ryan Superman Spann and Ian the Hulk Cutelaba. Ryan Spann, part of a similar, similar architect to, Aleksandar Rakić, a ginormous guy at the light heavyweight division. 6'5", 81-inch reach. He's got power. Obviously, he's a big boy. and he's got some decent grappling, right? But as far as like what I see when I watch Ryan Spann, I do see somebody who is not as doesn't have a high fight IQ. I do think he slows down as the rounds go on, and as much as we're in the apex here, and I do feel like his size could play a part, and Ion Cutelaba does crash the pocket. I mean, Cutelaba at minus 225 is so risky because he is a wild guy. You know, he has been using his wrestling recently, but he is a guy that can get caught up in these tough exchanges and just get caught. And Ryan Spann is a guy that could get you caught. Now, seeing them today in the face-offs, you know, I was actually extremely surprised on, excuse me, and granted, Ryan Spann did have his slippers on, but I was actually extremely surprised on just how well Ion Cutelaba sized up with him, right? I felt he stepped in on him. He almost looked physically wider, physically bigger. He even had a bigger head to me. And that does give me a bit of confidence because I was worried about the size of Ryan Spann. But you know, with a lot of these stats and these measurements, these things aren't accurate. So we can't always go by the number. That's why it's very important to really see these guys face off. And it's important because there's another matchup that I've switched sides on. And you'll hear that later. Ion Cutelaba training out in Extreme Couture. You know me, I don't like Fortis MMA. Faded Fernie Garcia. I will fade Fortis MMA forever. And I feel like I will be on top. Ryan Spann is an interesting character, and Saif Sayu, to me, is not the best coach available. I just like... another thing I like about Cutelaba is, like, look at these losses he's had, right? Magomed Ankalaev, top 3 in the world. Glover Teixeira, the champion, right? As of recently in this division. You can't complain about these losses. You got Ryan Spann getting knocked out by Johnny Walker and getting finished by Anthony Smith, but pretty much clubbed and subbed in that matchup. I think Ion Cutelaba is going to land takedowns. I do believe that late in the fight, it will be difficult for Ion Cutelaba to land takedowns, but I do expect him to win the first 2 rounds, and if he doesn't, I expect him to get a finish within 2.5 rounds. I don't think this goes to the scorecards. I like Ion Cutelaba. I see he's plus 750 by decision. I think that's something we all got to consider because you got him here at minus 225, and then him by finish is minus 130. I think if you're going to take the shot on him, maybe sprinkle a little bit on him by decision. You never know. He might just ride out Top Control and maybe not get Spann out of there because Spann's pretty much been finished, similarly in a lot of these fights. I'm going to go with my guy from Moldova, Ion Cutelaba, and I'm going to take him to win by second round, ground and pound, and continue his progression up the light heavyweight division. But Ryan Spann's dangerous. I would not parlay Ion in my opinion, but I would take a shot at the decision line. Moving on down, we got a bantamweight bout here between Luis Smolka and Davey Grant. Davey Grant, I'm going to start off with him. He's a minus 300 favorite in here. Very interesting. 36 years of age. Coming off 2 losses in a row. Adrian Yanez, Marlon Vera, very high-level bantamweights. He got that nasty KO over Jonathan Martinez that came out of nowhere after getting his ass whooped. Martin Day and him had a pretty competitive fight, and he gets him out of there as well. So, you know, Davey Grant has been kind of having a resurgence here. He has a very interesting style, light on his feet, throws a lot of front kicks, a lot of side kicks, spinning attacks, and he does have heavy power. Now, Luis Smolka over here is coming off his first KO loss, and it was an interesting fight because a lot of people had Smolka winning this, right? And Vince Morales pops out, lands a shot early with 2 minutes into the first round, and gets him out of there, right? He also got finished by Casey Kenny, but high-level bantamweight, first-round finish as well. And then he also got a first-round finish by Matt Schnell, who obviously lost in his last fight. Now, this is very interesting to me because if you look at the caliber of the opponents Luis Smolka has faced, like, look at some of these losses. Mateus Nicolau, Tim Elliott, Ray Borg, Brandon Moreno, Casey Kenny, Matt Schnell, Vince Morales. I think he has the ability to compete with guys like Davey Grant. And as much as he may look a little shot in some instances, Davey Grant has 6 losses. He's an 11-6 fighter. He's been submitted a couple times. He's the older guy here. And as bad as Smolka looked in his last bout, I'm going to say he bounces back here. And at that plus 240 tag, I think it's a great spot for Luis Smolka. I think he will land a nice clean shot on Davey Grant, get him a little wobbled, and I think he locks up the sub in this matchup. And I know if you want to play Davey Grant, you might as well take him by KO. I don't think he'll win a decision over Smolka. Neither guy really goes deep into fights as of recently. I would say, well, Davey Grant more so than Smolka. I like the Last Samurai here. I like Luis Smolka. I'm going to take the dog shot on him, plus 240. And I say he wins by rear naked choke in the second round. Man, there's a lot of dogs I love on this card. And it's not too often that I'm really loving dog spots on this card. And here's one coming up. Now, I had already made a ticket last week where I had Katlyn Chookagian at minus 130. RAKIC minus 160 and Jandiroba minus 160. The line all went up. I have that ticket sitting aside. I'm going to let it be, but my mindset has changed a bit here. This is why it's important to see weigh-ins and see how these guys size up. Unless Amanda Ribas was on her tippy toes, she to me did not look 6 inches shorter than Katlyn Chookagian. Amanda Ribas, to me, is a very aggressive pressure style fighter. And I do believe up here at 125, I feel like her chin will be a little bit stronger. I mean, the shot Marina caught her with, she didn't see it coming. She walked right into it, bam, drop. And Marina's hands are so quick. The Polyana Viviane back in the day, that one makes you a little scared because, you know, Polyana Viviane is not really cracking people on the feet, but same thing. She threw a straight jab down the pipe. Amanda Ribas walked into it. And I know a lot of people here are probably looking at it like, yeah, straight down the pipe. Katlyn could knock her out. You know, Katlyn by decision has been a very amazing spot here. And I bet Katlyn 4 out of these last 5 fights. But 5 out of her last 5 fights. And I was wrong once, and it was up against Jessica Andrade, a strawweight moving up, right? And I was saying to myself, how on earth is Katlyn going to lose this fight? Even with the power, just having so much more reach, so much more size. You know, Jessica was able to manipulate her. And I'm not saying Ribas has the same strength as Jessica Andrade. But she has a lot of technique. She has a judo background, jiu-jitsu background. I think Amanda Ribas' jiu-jitsu is phenomenal on the back, top pressure. And I do think her here not cutting weight is going to help her chin. It's going to help her gas tank. And she's aggressive. She goes forward. Okay, she's going to have Katlyn backing up, so automatically she's going to have octagon control. I do think she'll land a takedown on Katlyn. I do think she out-scrambles Katlyn. Now, the only way Amanda Ribas can lose this fight, in my opinion, is if she allows Katlyn to play her game, to stay on the outside, and jab and jab and jab. But in my opinion, the hand speed of Katlyn versus the hand speed of like a Marina Rodriguez is way faster than Katlyn Chookagian. You could debate on who you want to say is technically a better fighter in the sense, but the hand speed is totally different. Marina, if we go through Marina's record, I'm sure she's got more than 1 knockout. You know, I doubt it's just going to be Amanda Ribas. And let's go through this here. But what? 5 knockouts for Marina Rodriguez, right? This is a strawweight division, so it's not a usual occurrence. Man, I like the Ribas side. I'm gonna keep my parlay with Katlyn and RAKIC and Jandiroba when I had them early. I'm just gonna keep it at it because I got Katlyn at minus 130. But now at the minus 175 and approaching, I gotta say, I'm taking the shot on Amanda Ribas. She's another dog I like here. I do believe she'll be physically stronger than Katlyn. And I do believe her judo background will cause Katlyn fits here. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Amanda Ribas wins by split decision. Close fight. Gets early takedown. Close second round. Third round, maybe Katlyn might edge it out, but 2 judges gave the first 2 to Amanda Ribas, and we get away with a split decision. And I just prefer that side. I got Katlyn at minus 130. I'm not gonna be silly here and not take a straight shot on Amanda Ribas. So give me Amanda Ribas for the official prediction by split decision. Moving on down here, we got a lightweight bout. Frank the Crank Camacho versus Manuel Torres. And I'm a guy who I love to fade these guys off the Contender Series. Like I said, I did last week at Fernie Garcia. And I've done it numerous times in the past. Now, this spot here, I'm going to be changing tones here. Frank Camacho to me is hittable. Televises that body kick. Decent hand combinations. A tough guy. But we've seen at lightweight now. He's got finished by Beneil Dariush in the first round. Justin James annihilated him in the first round. And this Manuel Torres guy, listen. Yes, all his fights finished in the first round. Super red flag. I think the best play on this here is the under 2.5. But you got to give Frank Camacho some credit. He is tough. But I think that chin has been cracked down a little bit. In 31 professional fights, a lot of these, like when he came to the UFC, I want to put this in perspective for you guys. When he came to the UFC, he had already came with a 19-4 record, right? Since then, he is 22-9, right? Sorry, 22-9. It has not been a good run for this guy. And yes, Ling Liang, Drew Dober, Jeff Neal, but these wins, Damian Brown, split decision. Maybe another night doesn't go for him. Nick Hine, I watched that fight. That guy was not a good fighter in my opinion. And then he gets flatlined in these lightweight spots. Manuel Torres is fast. His front kicks are nasty. His jab is nasty. He throws this nice wing and left hook that I do believe will catch Frank Camacho. Now, like I said, my favorite play here is the 2.5. Under, you want to be very fancy, you can just take the fight, not go in the distance. These guys are in close quarters. I do imagine that they'll have to exchange in the pocket, and none of these guys is willing to back away. Man, I like Manuel Torres here, and I think he gets the knockout over Frank Camacho. A rare occasion where I'm going with a Contender Series guy, and a guy out of Entram Gym out of Mexico. But I do think Manuel Torres is a little bit different. I love the speed, man. It's so fast. He is so fast, and I just feel like if Camacho was really having trouble with Justin James landing shots, I just don't see how he's going to hold up to El Loco here. So give me Manuel Torres to win his debut against Frank Camacho and keep moving along in the lightweight division. Moving on down here. Whew. Tough fight for me. We got Jake Hadley, the White Kong, versus Puro Uso, Allan Nascimento. Allan Nascimento, as you know, coming out of Chookagian, training partners with your guy, Charles Oliveira, the lightweight champion. Now, Allan Nascimento, nice kicks, decent boxing, elite jiu-jitsu. Off his back, he's dangerous, he's threatening shots, and even off his back, and if he's on your back, you're in trouble. Now, he's not super offensive with the takedowns, so he's not really going to implement you and push you on the ground, but he allows people to take him down, and he really works off those spots. Jake Hadley, on the other hand, young fighter coming out of England. I think he's got decent power in his hands. Very young here, and he likes to get the fight to the ground, especially when he gets in trouble. I think this is just a big spot for Jake Hadley here. I feel like if this is like a 12-0 Jake Hadley, or maybe a 14-0, just someone with just a little bit more experience against a guy of this caliber, because that Contender Series fight, the Mission Proposal guy, is not the level of Allan Nascimento. I don't believe Jake Hadley's really ever faced anybody the level of Allan Nascimento. And as much as I like him, he has a lot of promise, I could just see this fight slipping away from him. And at plus 180, at this point, a UFC veteran fighting such good competition, even though he's losing these close decisions, I gotta go with Allan Nascimento. Experience is such an important thing. He has a size advantage in the height department. Jake Hadley's definitely a thick boy, man. Strong. Jake Hadley could go in there and just hit him, take him down, and kind of just ride top control and stay safe from the jiu-jitsu. But I do believe Allan Nascimento is extremely elite, and Jake is just at that age where he can make a mistake. And I'm pretty much banking on Jake Hadley just making his mistake in his UFC debut. He's going to have a lot to prove. This is a guy that is very good in a world where he likes to implement his game plan. And I can't ignore that Allan Nascimento at plus 180. I got to take the shot at him. Man, I like Jake Hadley a lot. But I'm going to say Allan Nascimento pulls up the upset in a very, very close decision and will give Jake Hadley his first loss and his first veteran lesson. But I do believe 2-3 years down the line, if this fight was to rerun, I think Jake Hadley will win this fight. But as of right now, it's just a little early for him. And I just don't think he has enough experience. I mean, 8 professional fights, 8 pro fights, right? Despite his amateur career against a guy with 24. It's a big deal. And well-trained, good camp. I'm going to go Allan Nascimento, and I'm going to take him to win by guillotine in the second round. Moving on down. We got another fun fight I was jumping back and forth on, but seeing the weigh-ins today, I made up my mind. Andrea KGB Lee versus Viviane Araujo. Now, me and Viviane, we have a decent relationship. I think I figured her out. I figured out her style, okay? I'm not really too involved in Andrea Lee fights for the most part. The only bet I really won on her was that fight against Cynthia Calvillo. Other than that, I haven't really been involved in her fights. I thought coming in here she would be a little bit longer. She'd have a little bit more length, just a little bit thicker in the physicality department. Viviane Araujo, let's just get this out here. She does slow down late in the rounds. She does have issues in that fight with Katlyn. You saw her get up in that grappling transition, look gassed. But she doesn't quit on herself. I do believe she has quite a bit of experience here. She was only 10-2 when she's facing these high-level girls. And at the age of 35, maybe she cuts a lot of weight. You know, maybe she throws too much into these shots. Maybe she shouldn't have taken the fight to the floor. She has amazing takedown defense. I feel if Viviane just keeps this a 15-minute kickboxing affair, I think she wins. She's way more explosive, way more power. This is the apex. These judges are going to be hearing these shots land. And as much as I do believe if Araujo gasses late, Lee could have a big third round, I'm going to assume Araujo goes into this up 2-0. I really am. And then probably loses that third round. I like her on the spot. We're getting dog money on here. I don't believe she deserves to be the underdog. In my head, I think minus 150 Araujo, plus 120 Andrea Lee. And because of this matter, and because this fight is going to play out very close, and it probably will go to the scorecards, but we do have Araujo who has the finishing capabilities to get a knockout. You know, Andrea Lee got a big old forehead. She doesn't wear damage well. I'm going to go with my girl Vivi Araujo, and I'm going to take her to win by unanimous decision. Moving on down the card here. Jeez, now it starts to get a little spooky. Michael Johnson versus Allan Patrick. Michael Johnson, one of those original Ultimate Fighter guys from back in the day. Very talented fighter. You know, despite that 19-17 record, it seems he has just tons of mental lapses in the fight. It's never really a scenario where it's just one-way traffic against him. He always shows you bursts of you know, absolute brilliance. He always shows you that he's capable but doesn't get it done. And Allan Patrick, just a wild guy all over the place. He did have a pretty big size advantage today. I saw in the weigh-ins, a lot bigger than I expected him to look. Michael Johnson did allude in an interview that Allan Patrick had trained at Sanford, so maybe these guys, you know, him being the longtime Sanford standout, maybe they see something in the film or see something in the training preparation that they think Michael Johnson can get this done. To me, Allan Patrick has lost to a little bit more credible guys as of recently. Bobby Green, Scott Holtzman, and then obviously the DQ to Mason Jones, who to me, Mason Jones is elite. Josh Emmett KO'd Michael Johnson. Stevie Ray won a majority decision, not good. He was doing his great work against Thiago Moises, gives up the leg lock, and then Clay Guida, I thought, just ran through him. And because of watching Clay Guida just land on Michael Johnson and just really have him backing up, I think he's just shot. 35 years old, 19-17. A fight I'm not willing to bet, but I'm gonna go with Allan Patrick. You know, he can implement takedowns in this fight. He's also very wild. He stays to the outside. He doesn't really crash the pocket too much. So I don't believe Michael Johnson's really gonna have the ability to show off the combinations. He's gonna have to come forward, and if he comes forward, he might give the takedown. I'm going to go with the dog shot here on Allan Patrick, and that is going to be, what, 2 Shuto box guys? I mean, they got the championship aura with Charles Oliveira around them. A little lame narrative, but I'm going to go with Allan Patrick because you can't trust a guy in Michael Johnson. 17 losses. He always finds a way to lose the fight. And you don't want to put minus 150 on him, and then he finds a way to lose the fight, and you're just like, what am I doing? How did I fall for this again? I think he might end his career 19-18 and not 20-17. Allan Patrick by unanimous decision. Moving on down here. Got a couple good spots here coming up. We got Virna Jandiroba versus Angela Hill. Love this fight. Big fan of Angela Hill. She does get a little raw by the judges. Fights high-level competition. Pressure fighter, Muay Thai. I do believe in these last few fights, though, we've seen her kind of slow down. She just looks a little bit slower. Just looks a little bit more hittable. And Virna Jandiroba, to me, losing to Mackenzie Durham and Amanda Ribas, some high-level jiu-jitsu girls, I'm not going to hold it to her. I do believe Virna has some power in her hands, even though her striking is a little wonky. I do believe Angela Hill won't be able to commit to her strikes because she'll be worried about the takedown. And I do think Virna gets the takedown and gets the rear naked choke. I think she only needs one in this fight. Maybe Angela Hill can fight off the first one, but I really don't see that. I think if Virna gets her down, she's riding top pressure and getting that rear naked choke and finishing the fight. I like it early too, man. I like Virna by sub. Like I tell you, I have her in an early parlay, but I'm just going to leave that the way it is. I'm not going to parlay Virna because I do like Angela, and I do believe Angela is a dog, and she made this fight close. I'm going to take Virna by finish. I think you can get that at like plus 275. And that's the route I'm going to go with in this spot. Give me Virna Jandiroba by first round, rear naked choke. Moving on down. Man, we got Bellator going on in the background, and a big upset there for Luke Trainer. Can't trust these guys with less than 10 fights. I'm telling you. You need guys with around that 10-fight ballpark. Coming up here, we got Carlos Candelario versus Tatsuro Taira. I did this breakdown a couple weeks ago. I was going with Carlos Candelario. He fell sick the day of the weigh-ins. Stomach problems, but apparently he's okay. Once again, looked a little shaky at the weigh-ins again. But, sorry, excuse me. And then once again, seeing him again today, he looked a little shaky on the weigh-ins. To me, Tatsuro Taira, you know, high-level guy, but he's beating up who in Japan? As far as I'm concerned, Carlos Candelario won his last fight despite what that record says. I had a bet on Victor Altamirano. I thought I lost, and they gave me the win. Didn't feel good. And at this point, if he didn't and was properly awarded the win that matchup, Carlos Candelario is just as undefeated as Tatsuro Taira, fighting high-level competition. I do believe Carlos is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and also 30 years old to 22 years old. This is a big spot for a young kid here. Very similar to Jake Hadley. Maybe in a couple years, this is a matchup he could win, but I'm going to stick and trust with the guy in Carlos Candelario, who really put up a good fight against the LFA flyweight champion on short notice. Not to go into it, I think Carlos Candelario will get the takedowns, will survive the submission attempts of Tatsuro, be able to, you know, outbox him on the feet, and I think he wins a dominant decision here. Give me Carlos Candelario. He didn't look too good with the scales, but I'm just going to stick with my read. I'm not going to switch. I was bouncing back and forth, like maybe I should jump off him, but I'm going to stick to my initial read. I like Carlos Candelario here by unanimous decision. And last but not least, the first fight of the night, we got Nick Maximov versus Andre Petroski. I see a lot of guys taking the shot on Petroski. You know, he's coming out of the Daniel Gracie camp, where those guys are undefeated as a group in the UFC. I like Andre Petroski's physical abilities here. He looks like the bigger athlete, stronger. But the gas tank, man, you go watch some tape, man. He really looks like he fades. He's not the same guy after 5 minutes. And I do believe the pace Nick Maximov puts on him will bring him to these deep waters and tire him out. Maximov does get tired himself. I do see him working for a lot of takedowns hard if he doesn't get them. Cody Brundage showcased that, you know, you could have a close fight with him and keep it standing and give him a bit of trouble. Puna Soriano, split decision. I had Puna and Maximov beat me there. I did not think I won that fight. But now we got a guy who's a primary grappler. Now, I do believe that in some of these spots here where Petroski has failed, he got offered, a bit of a scary response when it comes to the striking department. But in this situation here, going into this, knowing this is a grappling fight, you're 6 years older, similar wrestling background, debatably equal in jiu-jitsu when it comes down to it. Dog or pass? Dog or pass? I'm going to say Nick Maximov just out-scrambles him just a little bit more in this fight. But as far as betting-wise, I am not going to not put a little bit of change on Andre Petroski at this plus 300 line. His camp is undefeated. They're great jiu-jitsu players. He's got a wrestling background. And to me, he looks like the more physically stronger individual. And we haven't seen anybody try to take down Maximov. So it'll be interesting to see what Maximov has off his back, because Petroski's got some excellent top pressure. Like I said, I've bet against Maximov twice and been wrong. So I'm going to pick him to win here. But I will bet against him a third time in this spot. And roll the dice at Petroski. My official prediction will be Nick Maximov. And I say he wins a unanimous decision. And that's it, guys. We come to the end of our card. We got a couple dog shots in there that I know you'll like. Got some Bellator going on in the background here. Let me get an update because I did have a bit of a Bellator parlay going on. So let me just get a quick little update of that. And we're looking good. We got Encamp and Simone Bayong, man, plus 200. That was a good spot. Hopefully not all you guys parlay Luke Trainer there. Pretty much gassed out to the Cameroonian. And like I said, we're going to post the parlays at the end of this video. And this is about 4 or 5 week win streak. We're at 40 units. Like I said, I want 100 units by the end of the year. And we are tracking in the right direction. This is Southpaw Picks. Thank you guys again for coming. And good luck this week on all your bets. Catch you later.